From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your afternoon update.
Well, good afternoon. Did check the latest fire perimeters, and nothing has really changed since my early morning update here. So I'm going to go through these here pretty quickly. If you want to see them in a kind of a slower pace, be sure to check out my morning update, and this will be the first thing that you will see. But there you can see the head fire. Now, when we're looking at the overall fire itself, the areas in red is basically activity that's the last 12 to even 24 hours. So meaning that's where the most activity of the fire has been in the last 12 to 24 hours. Yellow and oranges indicate that we are seeing activity that is older, which means that part of the fire has been less active. So that's what we're looking at here. Reds is the most active part of the fire. Yellows and oranges is where we're seeing the least amount of activity. Then, of course, I take a look at the fire perimeter. I don't take you to where the activity is, but take you to the perimeter, because the fire perimeter is the official perimeter coming in, and that's the latest information as far as how big the fire is. And I don't want to go off of this, because this is all the colors that you're seeing here are going off of the satellite and kind of GPS, and it tends to be a little off sometimes. But sometimes you'll see it outside of the fire perimeter, and that could be the case. It could be outside of that fire perimeter based on some of the earliest projections, but overall, I like to take these distances from the perimeter and the perimeter only, okay? So there you can see Sayed Valley. The main two fires that we're concerned about for Happy Camp are the Ufish and the Malone fires. Let's take you to the south, and there you can see the south end of the head fire in its vicinity to Etna. There's the Scott fire at 14.2 miles from Etna, and there you can see to Wairika and Fort Jones from the head fire. Let's take you to the south into the deep fire, still getting closer to the Trinity Alps Resort at 2.7 miles. This is where we're seeing the most activity with the fire as well on the south side, but you can see not as much activity on the north, and not to mention even the east side for Covington Mill, Trinity Center, and Coffee Creek. Here is a look at the south side of the fire. Again, not much activity on this side, but you can see the south side affecting Trinity Alps Resort, and not to mention getting a little bit closer to Weaverville, but still over 10 miles for Weaverville, Junction City, and Helena. Here is another big fire, and this is the Smith River Complex. This is where we're hoping to get a lot more rain, but unfortunately, most of the rain is going to be the east of this fire. But here you can see, of course, it's a complex, a series of fires all kind of put together as a complex. So I'm taking each fire that's closest to each of these communities, and that's where you get those distances from. Let's go ahead and take you off to the east now, and there you can see Idlewild. There's Highway 199, and of course that fire is pretty close to the Idlewild area as well. The Perch Fire, 2.3 miles from Orleans. You can see the south side of the fire itself is where we are seeing the most amount of activity coming in from that fire. Meanwhile, here's a look at the Lone Pine Fire. This is a bit of a concern for Hoopa, and not to mention Willow Creek. The south side of the fire is where we see most activity at 4.4 miles from Willow Creek and about 1.8 miles from Hoopa. And I wanted to bring you in nice and tight here. You can see the northwestern edge of that fire perimeter right here. And of course, you've got the creek right here. And so we're still on the east and north side of the creek. And of course, here is the community of Hoopa right here. So very close to that fire perimeter, but of course the firefighters are doing everything they can to protect your community. Here's a look at your Pilot Fire, and you can see plenty of activity here on the southeast side of the fire. 5.5 miles from High and Palm, 12.2 from Mad River, and 9.2 from Dinsmore. And off to the west, we actually have the Lost Fire here. Not as much activity on the west side of the fire here, but on the east side of the fire, a bit more activity at 5.1 miles from Johnson's. And one last look here. This is the Sulphur Fire, fairly small fire, but these are some of the communities that are closest to it. Dinsmore, Mad River, High and Palm, and pretty far from Hayfork at about 14.7 miles. All right, let's switch gears. We're going to talk about Hillary, because Hillary, the remnants, is the reason why we're seeing rain for Northern California, and maybe even some thunderstorms. Much cooler this week and less thunderstorm activity. Yes, that is right. Less thunderstorm activity. We're getting a break from the lightning. Here you can see your hour-by-hour forecast. We're not going to see much variation in those temperatures because of the overcast skies and the rain, and not to mention thunderstorms. That's going to keep those temperatures mainly in the upper 70s inland and in the mid 70s for places like Trinity County, where we have a better chance for thunderstorms there. This right here is the remnants of Hurricane Hillary, now moved off into the north into Idaho, and not to mention southeastern Oregon. This area of low pressure right here is significant because what it's doing is it's tapping into that tropical moisture and rotating around that and transporting that tropical moisture right over Northern California, giving us that source for the rain that we are seeing. So here we are at noon. Most of the rain is in Trinity County, and not to mention down into Humboldt County. Now what's going to happen is, as we go through the afternoon, we could see a disturbance pass through that could maybe spark up some thunderstorms. And the problem with that is, yes, the rain is nice, but we don't want those erratic winds that come from those thunderstorms. And if these thunderstorms should develop, that is going to create some problems for the firefighters, unfortunately. But it will be some much needed rain. So it's kind of one of those catch-22 type of situations. Here we go into Monday. Of course, today at 10 o'clock, we're seeing most of the showers beginning to really break apart. Now, Tuesday, what's going to happen is this. Here you can see Tuesday at noon. Let's take you through the afternoon. You see how we're seeing a few pop-ups here? There's still some leftover moisture from Hillary on Tuesday. There may be just enough energy, and not to mention moisture, for some showers and a few small thunderstorms to develop Tuesday afternoon. But now we're going to take you into Wednesday. Now here's Wednesday morning. It's dry, it's clear, and we're just going to see some cumulus clouds developing. But at this point, it doesn't look like we're going to see showers or thunderstorms develop on Wednesday. And that trend will continue for the rest of the week and this upcoming weekend. We'll take it. No more thunderstorms, please. Let's get a break. We could use the rain, but I don't want any more lightning strikes to talk about here. Here you can see your temperature trend. It is warming back up after today, but still not by much. In fact, we're seeing another slight dip in our temperatures going into this upcoming weekend. So temperature-wise, absolutely gorgeous. Today, there you can see your wave heights, that is, at about 8 to 9 feet. They will start to drop, though, as we're taking your Tuesday down to about 5 feet and even lower, getting closer to the shore. Here's your marine forecast for today. North winds at 10 to 20 knots. Your waves from the northwest at 11 feet at 10 seconds. And, of course, we've got those hazardous seas out there for today, but as you saw, they will be dropping for tomorrow. Thunderstorms, a very good possibility for Trinity County, not to mention up to the north into Siskiyou County. Meanwhile, off to the west, Hoopa, Willow Creek, upper 70s. Mid to upper 60s here out along the coast. Shelter Cove about 68 and 67 degrees in Garberville. Let's take a look at your 7-day outlook. I've got you dry for Crescent City. Now today, Crescent City, if you see a stray sprinkle or a light shower, don't be surprised, but most of it will stay to your east, and that's where it'll be dry all week. Thunderstorms, a very good possibility, especially in Trinity County. A slight chance for some activity on Tuesday, but many of us will actually be dry on Tuesday, including Crescent City, of course. And then dry, sunny, and mild. Really not that warm, especially when we compare to what we saw last week. Here's your 7-day outlook for Eureka. We do have those temperatures in the mid-60s here for today and tomorrow. And, of course, just a few showers out there for today. Not a lot of rain, by the way, for the coast. Temperatures will be in the mid-60s for the rest of the week under partly to mostly cloudy skies and dry conditions.